It's Backstage Pass with Steve Ryan. And here's your host, Steve Ryan.
There we go.
Hey, Matt.
How are you? How's it
I'm
going,
good.
Steve?
How are you? It's good to
Fantastic.
see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thanks for giving me some time. Hey,
Well, you look like you might be old enough to have seen us back in the day. I don't know, maybe not.
well, I want to talk to you about that because when Josh sent me information on, what's going on with the release of the deluxe edition of Emergency Third Rail Power Trip, I spent some time with it, and I can't. I'm thinking to myself, where was I? Because I totally missed it. I apologize because I love this album.
No apologies necessary. Art lasts. So,
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I'll go, hey, this is a cool band. You find out it was 20 years ago. So,
Yeah, man. I just I had Kaleidoscope on this morning and I on repeat. I think I listened to it like 4 or 5 times. I just dig that song so much.
thank you.
Like a kaleidoscope, evolving, revolving. What I thought was there is now dissolving. I wonder if it matters as the pattern shifts and shatters. Oh,
Yeah, I had heard that you're also releasing Surprise Surprise as a single this week or
That
something.
comes out today.
Perfect timing.
got a message in my heart. Surprise, surprise. And it's coming from your star. It's coming.
And you're going to tour.
Well, they say we are. we toured I thought it was a lot. The last from let's see, June 21st was our last gig, but that was probably our 30th of the year. As far as tours go, we don't have anything booked. So right now, we are focusing on new stuff. We're
Yeah.
going to be recording in the spring, hopefully to have something come out next summer, and obviously we'll tour around that. We do have a couple shows in May, but that's it for right now. We're focusing on writing and recording.
Hey, so the song "This Can't Be Today."
Mm-hmm.
When I listen to that, the first thing that always comes to my mind is this George Harrison kind of sound to me. Am I pegging that right?
Sure.
Doesn't matter if it's nice today. Don't go out off the chain on these days. Didn't care for the things you said, but they just don't seem to leave my head. This can't be today.
I mean, when the Birds started, McGinn and Crosby saw what the Beatles were playing, Beatles 65, and they went to the music store and they got exactly that. They got a Rickenbacker 12 string and a Gretsch Tennessean.
Yeah.
And that's what David and I did. He had a Rickenbacker 12 string, and I didn't go, I have to find a Gretsch Tennessean, but I went to a music store and the guy's trying to sell me, this is West LA, this is 81. He's trying to sell me those pink Jackson guitars with the whammy bar that you can go flat and the Van Halen kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with Van Halen. I like them.
Yeah.
And then he had this Gretsch Tennessee in the corner. He goes, "Oh, that's only $200." I'm like, done. So I bought that, and then shortly thereafter, I traded that in for another one that was in better shape, and that's the one I have now. And use it on
Wow. Man, I love that. I
every
love that
recording
song.
I've ever done, except one because it was broken at the time. But yeah, so yes, George is a big influence. That song is a song by Steven and myself, and I think it features his very weird. That's a very strange bass line. He's an unusual bass player.
Yeah, but I just love it.
Oh, it's great. He came up with that, and then I'm like, that's cool. So I started playing with him, and then he and I wrote the lyrics and fleshed it out. And then, of course, David plays some great fuzz guitar, and Willie.
You know, the Crashing Dream LP. Man, there's so many great songs on that album. To me, it's such a deep album because Invisible People is a great track.
Yeah,
And
I like that
then
track. Thank you.
Try and tell you there's something out there. It's only people, but you can't see them. Could be the best friend. You'll never
are you doing these reissues because you're people are finding you, new people are finding you? I feel like there's some new interest in you guys, and maybe people are like me, are discovering, wow, this band is awesome. Is that
Well,
what
that's
is that
very
what you're
sweet of
doing?
you to say. um, well, yes, that's partially true. It's all out of print. So, what ended up happening, this is that record that's behind you right there. We made that record all on our own. We financed, recorded, produced it with Ethan James, the late Ethan James, who ran a place called Radio Tokyo. He worked with a lot of people in LA in the early 80s. And then once it was done, Enigma Records, which was owned by Bill and Wesley Hine, two brothers, great dudes, the nicest, most honest people I met. The first ones I met, and this was all downhill since then.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody's a scumbag in the record business, but those guys are great. So Bill, mostly Bill, but Wesley also just bought it, put it out. Not sight unseen. He just said, "Yeah, I want to do this." And then he hooked us up with a producer, Jim Hill. We made our next record, which is called Explosions in the Glass Palace, which does not have David Roback on it. He left the band spiritually almost in the middle of recording, but physically after it came out. He absolutely instrumental in formation and establishment of the group. But we had three songwriters, and that's really hard to do. And he wanted to do his own thing, and that's what he did. He went on to there's a band called Opal he was in, which is my favorite of his, with Kendra Smith from the Dream Syndicate, and then he went on to do Mazzy Star.
Right.
Hit song is in basically every single like youth movie from the 90s, which is
Right.
great for him. They made some dough off of that, so good for him. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He passed away
Right. Right.
years ago.
Right.
But anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying yes. All this stuff it was not available. When the pandemic hits, we decided that after we've been playing for a while, we had recorded an album with our Paisley cohorts where we all cover one of each other's songs. It's called 3x4. You might really enjoy that. That's a good primer, if you will, for the scene. Anyway, our juices were flowing, and we're like, we can't keep playing and just doing the same old stuff. So we had the opportunity to write, and we did, and then we did the exact same thing we did 40 years previously, which was to completely produce our own album, Last Rays of a Dying Sun, and with Jim Hill, who is basically in the band now. He's our dear friend and producer. And then the same guy, Bill Hine, he was coming through town. I live in Oakland. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I had lunch with him, and he's like, I'm starting a new label, and I want you guys to be the first band I signed. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? We have an album. Oh, really? Yeah, here it is. It's like, great, let's do it. So they did. Same
Wow.
guy,
Yeah.
new label. He and a guy named Andy Zicklin and a guy named Fred Goldring. They formed this label 51, I think. That's a offshoot. The other one is Flatiron, but that's out of Boulder, and they've been sweethearts. They really supportive. So they put out the Last Rays album, and then this Last Stop on the Underground EP, which came out and is now available um, from their
Yeah.
website. And don't know when the vinyl's coming out. Vinyl's really tough. They do own a pressing plant. I know they had some issues, so there should be vinyl of the thing behind you and of the EP
Yeah.
shortly. It was supposed to be today, but I don't think it's ready. I don't honestly know when, but very, very soon.
You had said that the Last Race album was done during pandemic. Did you guys record it during pandemic? So were you in your own spaces, or how did you guys record that?
By the time we got to the actual recording studio, it took us a couple of years to go through because we couldn't practice. Eventually, Steven started to come over to my house, and we'd be on my back porch, and he'd be at one end, and I'd be at the other with acoustic guitars,
Yeah.
and we do that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, the modern world does make that kind of stuff a little easier. You can send things back and forth. I've recorded music with bands I've never met.
Yeah.
Because you can do that now.
Yeah. On that Last Race album, Couldn't Stand to Be Alone. I had that. I was listening to it in my headphones, and it just kind of closed my eyes because it's like this dream sequence. I mean, it's so great.
Oh, that's
And
awesome that you think that. Thank you so much.
Watched it all time, bought every line. Didn't wanna be alone, couldn't stand to be alone.
We like to try to throw things on their side, if you will, take something that's a little stock. And my friend John, the guitar player, he calls that the music box song because he thinks it sounds like a music box. But not to get too technical here, but if you take a 12-string guitar and you remove all the low strings, so you still have 6 strings, but it's no longer the normal ones, it's the octave higher. That's called
Yeah.
Nashville tuning. And pretty much every guitar player who discovers Nashville tuning, like, puts it on every single thing that they do. It's that's, and the strings are, because of the way it's tuned, they're a little bit weird and out of order. And I had that, and I started doing a finger picking thing, and I'm like way up the neck, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool because if you play it on a real guitar, it wouldn't sound that way. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was a blast. That Steven ended up playing the bass part on an acoustic guitar. I play a real bass that's really low in the mix just to give it some oomph, but the bass part you hear is him on acoustic. Everybody played
Yeah.
great on that. Derek plays great. John plays great. Steven played great. Stefan, the drummer, barely plays, but he plays a little bit. And then we had there's a guy named Darian Sahanaja, who is, did I say that right? I think I did. He is the genius who got Brian Wilson to do the album Smile about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He was the guy who basically took every single Smile recording that there was and he put it on digital. And because he's this really sweet man, he was able to convince Brian to do it. And it's a masterpiece to me. That's huge influence. Anyway, we know him from LA, and I asked him if he would sing on our stuff, and he said, "Yeah, man, sings great."
Yeah.
And I am appreciative that you picked that song because that's one of it's Rain Parade has about 3 modes. We have like the sort of This Can't Be Today, Easy Way Down, kind of psychedelic. There's a lot of stuff going on, rock. Then we have
Yeah.
a lot of slower stuff, and then we also like the moody folk music too, and that's what I think that one fits in on. There's a few of those
Yeah.
on that
I
album.
love it.
I'm
The
glad
other
that you
song,
liked it.
yeah, the other song is so beautiful on that album is Share Your Love.
See her love, share your heart. See her heart, share your love.
So that was a classic way that Stephen and I write songs together. We sort of crammed two different songs into one thing. He sort of had this chorusy thing, and I had a verse, and we put them together. And then we got our dear friends Vicky and Deb Peterson, who are the Bangles. They came and sang on it. They're wonderful. They sang a bunch on that record too. Yeah, we like that song a lot.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yep, that's pretty simple, straightforward, but yeah, we like it. Got pretty darn good acoustic guitar sounds. I would have
Yeah,
to say.
but that's what I love about that song is, and I say this pretty often because it's music that I really can get into is when you give it a chance in the mix, you give the song a chance to breathe. It's not, it's not over mixed and crammed everything together. It just kind of has some room to breathe, and that song is so perfect in the way I love that.
Oh, that's awesome that you said that because it's a tendency. I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist, so the temptation is to put everything on everything, and it's kind of like Miles Davis says, it's what you don't play that's more important than what you actually do play. So you got to give it room. I think that album is some of those songs have a ton of stuff on it, and I like that. But this next time we're gonna try to go in the direction that you had mentioned.
I wanted to go back. I wanted to go back to "Explosions in the Glass Palace," if that's okay, because there's a song on
Sure,
there.
sure. That's probably my favorite record of ours.
Really?
Well, You're My
Yeah.
Friend is yeah, that was a collaboration between Steven and I.
Friend, I'm sad it had to end. You can't bring back the dead. They're burning down. You're much too smart to waste your mind on hate. And you know too late. Don't mean a thing. If you're my friend,
To be honest with you, it started out as You Were My Friend, but Steve is like, "Come on, man, that's too depressing." So he's right. So
Oh, I love that song.
he's a great collaborator. And the fun thing for me with that whole record is I got to play all the guitar. So no,
Yeah.
Steven plays acoustic on one song, but that was really fun. And we were four-piece for a while, but discovered that I couldn't really play two guitars at once. So my old friend John Thoman from college went to the same college as Steven's brother,
Yeah.
and he's been in the band since 1984. Still
Yeah.
lives down the street.
There was a big gap between I think it was between the Crashing Dream LP and in the Last Rays album. Did you
I
think you
mean,
guys
like
were gonna
38 years.
Yeah. Did did you guys think you were done, or did you figure at some point you'd get back together?
Well, I'll try to give you the short answer to that. We kind of run our course in '87 ish. Then we went our different ways. It's not like we stopped working together though. Steven had a band called Viva Saturn, which John was in, and I recorded on all those records. There's like three of them. And then I did a band called the Hellenes. There's two of those records, and Steven is all over the first one. Didn't work on the second one so much, but I mean, he and I have been, and John have been working together over all that time, just not as much and not as Rain Parade. we started playing again in about, matter of fact, not mistaken, it's almost exactly 12 years ago to the day that we did our first gig.
Wow.
With the, the revamped, renewed Rain Parade. And to be honest with you, that's when we found out about all this other stuff. We were just flabbergasted how happy people were to see us. I've never been in a room where there's that many people happy to see me. And if no one had cared, we probably wouldn't have done it. And that's when we learned about bands like Ride and Teenage Fan Club and the Stone Roses and Primal Scream and UK Charlatans and
Yeah.
did I say Teenage Fan Club? I think
Yeah. Yeah.
all those bands were My Bloody Valentine, and they all
Right.
said, "Hey, these guys are cool. We like what they did, and this is what we took from it." We didn't know any of that stuff, and then newer bands like Asteroid Number 4 or Beachwood Sparks or people like that. Charlatans UK, as you mentioned, that was really flattering and kind of, I mean, we're just, what does Mad Magazine say? Monkeys are always funny. We're just stupid humans with egos, and that was quite a shot in the arm. So,
well, and I'm glad you guys are still at it, because this last Ray's album, I mean, it is so good. I mean, I think I don't want to discount the older stuff because it's great, but this last album, I can't wait to hear what you guys are working on, what comes up next. The tracks are just so solid, brother. I love it. I can't wait for the new stuff.
That's really very sweet of you to say. Thank you. That means the world to us. That's all we really ever wanted. And I think we got it, for other bands, other musicians, and not just musicians, to look at us the way, like, I looked at television. Huge influence on us.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, man. That makes our day, because music it's a weird business. It's a selfish, egotistical thing you do, and it's mostly sitting around. So, and there's obviously no money in it, but it sure is rewarding to hear people like you say that kind of thing. It really is quite wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. How could people follow you and find out what's going on, and when you guys, set some dates for any more touring that's coming up, or
we got all the
new
social
stuff?
media stuff. It's Rain Parade Officials on Facebook and Instagram. And
Well, Matt, thank you for giving me some time. Let's do this again, and as more stuff comes out, and
sure,
I can't wait. And I'd love to sit down and spend some more time with you and reminisce, but talk about the new projects too, because I really I dig your stuff, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. I really appreciate you giving me some time.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. I want our record company to be able to sell some of this stuff and make some of their money back.
Yeah. Well,
they've been super supportive.
If anybody deserves it, brother, it's you guys, because what you guys are doing is so fantastic, and more people need to know about it for sure. I wish I had found you, 40 years ago.
Well, no time like the present.
Yeah, brother.
All right. You take care. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And
absolutely.
All right, Steve, you have a great day and a nice holiday season. And again,
same to you.
So much.
Same to you. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
For questions or comments, email Steve at steveryan.songoftheday@gmail.com.
Sad Eyes. I mean, I can go on. Sad Eyes Killed, Depending on You, Don't Feel Bad. I mean, that whole album is just, I mean, it's deep, brother.
Well, thank you. It's kind of, in terms of our story,